Hey, we got sound effects. That's pretty cool. And we're still waiting for Lou. And we're still waiting for Lou. There he is. What's going on, dude?
Everything.
Well, of course. You had a good day yesterday. How'd you golf?
Not too good, but I think I won money in the last 2 holes, so that's all that counts.
That's all that counts. Did you leave with
Sometimes
more than you
better to
got
be
there with?
lucky than good.
Did you leave there with more than you got there with?
Oh, well, probably.
Oh, you did good then.
They didn't. They don't figure it out. They might have figured it out last night. There were still people out. So
Well, either way, you were at least in the running.
Yep. You see, boy, you guys having trouble getting product from offshore there?
We're still having a problem with steel.
Yeah. Yep.
That's really about it. Everything else, well, you know what? Our hoses are made in Turkey. And they're being a challenge. Now, I don't know if it's a logistics thing or if it's a manufacturing thing.
I'm going to say logistics from what they're telling us because we have stuff waiting to be shipped. They can't get a container to put it in.
For real?
It's sitting on the dock with nothing to put it into. Last year, containers were running about $2,500 at the beginning of 2020. Guess what the current rate is next month?
No clue.
13,000.
Wow.
Think about that.
Wow. Wow. We have any idea why?
It's has to, I guess it's just that the ones that are here aren't getting unloaded and the empties aren't getting back.
Wow. Wow. Well, it's not the news I wanted to hear.
No.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I know we've gone from 6-week lead times to 8 weeks. I can't tell you the reason for that.
Still building manufacturers have gone from 8 to 20 to 26 right now.
Really?
Yeah. Low end 16.
Wow. Wow. Well, we knew things were going to transition. I think it's a little harder than most people expected, but
Well, the result of that is really nothing to do with the government. It was all the geniuses with their forecasting that every one of them blew it.
yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, pretty much, these small, a small business has its advantages because they can be proactive and reactive in 10 minutes. By the time the corporation decides, you're already fucked.
Yeah.
Is what it amounts to.
And these corporations don't move very quick.
No. I mean, we could react in no time at all to a change.
We can pretty much too.
We can make quick adjustments, and look for different things, but These big guys
No chance.
must
No
be
chance.
those MBAs.
Well, you know, they wouldn't have that problem if they get a real degree. Still the best line I ever heard, Luke. Was still the
old,
best line I
old
ever heard.
James.
That was somebody. I tell you what, he was too young to give up to quit giving as many fucks as we did.
I know.
You know, he was something else. Well, a lot of that was attitude. We were just yeah, we're not putting up with this.
Yeah.
Wonder what he's doing now.
I don't know.
Oh,
What was his engineering degree?
where was it?
Or what? Do you know what part or
Mechanical.
what?
I know it was a mechanical engineer.
Oh, it was mechanical. Well, I'm sure plenty of need for those. So he's probably still in the area too.
Yeah, probably. But he was really digging doing that EMT stuff though.
Yeah, that doesn't pay like mechanical engineering.
No, it does not.
It's a side gig if you like it. You
And it's
know,
a lot more stressful.
go to the football games and parades and stuff in the evenings. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, whatever it is, I hope he's doing well. You and I have both been vaccinated. We're done. We're as vaccinated as vaccinated can be.
Yeah, just gonna say I've been more than a month clear of everything after the second week. So
Yeah. You were what, 2 weeks ahead of me?
yeah,
I want to say you were 2 weeks ahead of me.
yeah. So I think it was. I got it. My second would have been like March 29th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The end of March. Because I was what? My second one was, I want to say April 5th, April 7th, something like that.
Yeah.
Europe is welcoming vaccinated tourists this summer. EU countries officially agreed on Thursday to welcome foreign travelers who have received one of the coronavirus's vaccines approved by European regulators. So I'm assuming it means, totally vaccinated, just not like one shot. So far, these include the vaccines from Pfizer and BioNTech, Moderna, AstraZeneca, and J&J. Well, J&J is the one shot. So vaccinated people will be allowed to enter the bloc if they've received the last recommended dose at least 14 days before their arrival in the EU. I'm curious, though, Lou. It really doesn't say how they're going to enforce this. What do they do to enforce this? We just tell them, which I doubt. The EU is not going to play the game, do the stupidity that we do.
I believe. Didn't I see something? You either need a negative test or a vaccine card before you get there.
That's what I'm looking for. I can't seem to find it
I
anywhere.
thought I did see that somewhere. You can go, but you better have either a negative test 72 hours or whatever before, or you better have the card on you.
Well, they're definitely going to have to be looking for proof. Like I said, the way we do shit around here is we're basically at this point just taking everybody's word for it, right?
Well, yeah, like we should believe, half of these clowns.
Yeah. I know, like even now, down at the gym, down at the Y, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. But we're not enforcing it in any way, basically. And I'll be honest with you, Lou, I'm kind of between two minds about it. We're not enforcing it in any way. Basically, it's on an honor system, right? So if you come in without a mask, we just assume that you're vaccinated. Okay. And the reason I say I'm between two minds of it is part of me doesn't like rolling the dice when it comes to health and things like that, right? Part of me that doesn't want to, especially have far people who are far more vulnerable than I am exposed. On the other hand, I'm getting tired of these assholes, and I want to make them irrelevant. And whenever you no longer care about whether they're wearing a mask or not, you pretty much make them irrelevant. Because I don't care if you're following the rules or not. I don't care if you care about the other person or not. You're either going to be fine, you're going to get sick, or you're going to die. So if that's the chance you're willing to take, the hell with you. Go take the chance.
Oh, and I believe I don't. I still don't think they should have lifted some of the stuff yet. I think it was one of those roll the dice 50-50. If we say the people that are already vaccinated could go without, will that encourage more to get the vaccine? Or if they don't get the vaccine, they're going to get sick quicker.
Yeah, I almost want to say that, like I said, because it's no longer a big deal, because this assholeness that you're willing to embark on doesn't mean anything anymore. People are going to be a little bit more willing to get the vaccine because, well, you no longer matter. You know, you don't want to be told what to do? Fine. But now we're going to make it so readily available. You're seeing what New York's doing, right? The incentives they're giving people, right? Wasn't the Yankees giving away tickets for if you go to the stadium and get your shot, that they'll let you into to the ballpark or something like that? There might have been a caveat to that, like, you know, only certain areas or, you know, certain parts of the stadium or whatever. But, you know, how long have I been saying, especially with spring break, right? They should have had tents up all over the beach. Go get the shot. You're here. What do you care if it makes you sick tomorrow morning? You're going to be hungover anyhow. You know?
Yeah.
What difference does it make? These are things to me they should have been doing from the beginning. Be out in front of a church. Have a tent set up outside of every freaking Walmart where every goddamn redneck in the country goes anyhow. Right? Just have those there. Stop right in. Here you go. And I think whenever you do that, you almost embarrass people into getting it. Because there's no longer that conflict now. You know, they're not taking a stand anymore, whatever the fuck they think they say they're doing. You're just being an asshole now. So I think there's some good that's going to come out of lifting. Plus, Ohio's lifting everything. I'm pretty sure Indians games are going to be full capacity now.
Probably. Ohio had that $1 million raffle too, and they actually had an increase in people getting the vaccine.
Oh, hell yeah. I was willing to do it again.
for a shot at it.
Right?
Yeah.
Why not? I don't think you can overdose on a dose, so, you know. But they should. I have a better question for you. You think Tucker got his vaccination?
Oh yeah, he's had it for I would bet you he was in on the first batch.
You think?
That cowardly little prick.
I think so too. I think he was all secret squirrel about it. You know?
Yeah.
I do. I think he was all secret squirrel. He got his thing because, let's face it, the guy's a coward to begin with. Right?
Yeah. Let's talk big, and the left's emasculating you and this and that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm almost completely convinced he got his before you and I got ours.
No, I'd bet on it.
I do. I do. And he's not telling anybody. He's just asking the question. I'm just asking the question. I'm just asking. Tucker, did you get your shot? Funny how no one had the balls to ask him that. You know, no one's asking, well, did you get yours? Oh, well. 6 weeks in Texas, Lou.
Yeah, you know what? That kind of, I think I mentioned this yesterday on Discord, kind of ties in ironically to a vaccine, doesn't it? Taking away my freedoms, telling me what I can or can't do for my body. But if you're a woman, fuck you. You do what we say.
Right. Right.
That's the gist of it.
So I'm curious, have we decided that a 6 week old fetus is entitled to child support now?
You know what? If I was a liberal in Congress, I'd be putting up bills saying, you know what? If that woman's deemed pregnant, the guy that knocked her up is now liable for prenatal care and everything else till she has the baby plus child support after.
You think she can get what is it? You know, Gerber used to have that insurance on your kids, right? So if something would happen to them, they would pay.
Mm-hmm.
Can she do that now?
I would bet you $10 to a donut that I know insurance years ago, and I'll bet it's still true. I don't believe you can even get a policy on an infant till they're, I don't know if it's days or weeks old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for consistency here, Lou.
Well, you know what? All these so-called Christians say it's in the Bible, but I mean, you look through some of the passages of a Bible. What's? I'm trying to think of one of them does say life begins at birth.
That was the Old Testament.
And Old Testament. It's in one of them.
It's the Old
Life,
Testament.
and as far as the Jewish religion goes, life begins at birth. You protect the mother at all costs.
Yeah, we're not willing to do that in Texas anymore. Texas is there? You know what? Honest to God, I thought it was Florida that had the biggest fuck ups.
Oh, Texas is.
You know, well, they say everything's bigger in Texas. I should have done better. You know, I've heard they had the power grid thing. They had the one voting area in per precinct or something like that. Now they're doing this shit. I can't find a bigger bunch of fuck ups this side of DeSantis.
I'll tell you what, those two states, they are. I mean, you talk about idiots and morons. My God, it's all about power, and you know, what he tried to do. He tried to arrest a woman that was accurately counting COVID a year ago.
DeSantis.
Yeah,
they did arrest her.
They did. They raided the house.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what they're going.
Nothing against him, and my God, you get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be the consensus in that party now. Whatever I say goes. If you question me, you're too woke or whatever.
And I still don't understand how anybody on either side looks at how these people are acting and are not only willing to go along with it, they're supporting it. Is it only, you know, bad when it happens to me?
Yeah, that's it. Well, Reagan was against all that. Nancy Reagan until what? One of theirs got cancer, or dementia or whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah. But whenever you get rid of the lowest rung and you either wipe them out or make them irrelevant, then you go to the next highest one and you do the same thing to them, and you take away the next rung's rights and you don't give a shit about them. Well, you're next. There's a reason we say, what happens to the least of us affects all of the greatest of us. These guys, the so willfully ignorant.
It's, greed too. Greed, no empathy, don't care.
And I guess that's my problem. How do you not care, right? How do you not care for people? How do you look at all these folks and you just don't care?
That's it too.
I just I'm sorry, dude. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Do you realize the cost of basically, you think about it, systemic racism and poor people in general? By not helping them, you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how much your taxes go for programs that don't need to be that big because you're giving rich people more than they need and then you favor them anymore.
I
The dollar amount you spend on welfare programs is probably, I don't know, if you call it $1. The amount you're subsidizing the rich the last 40 years is probably what, 1,000?
Oh, probably. How many of these companies, corporations don't pay taxes?
Was it 91 of the top 500 last year?
Yeah.
Okay, think about that. How many people evading taxes because they took the teeth out of the IRS?
Yeah. I always looked at the Aflac. Aflac, right?
Yeah.
The Duck Aflac. Did you ever see their business model?
Oh, I know their business model. I worked for them briefly.
Okay, so you get $10 for a doctor's visit, right? You go do something, they give you, another 25 or whatever it is, and somebody's still paying your premiums. Most of the time, it's the company, right? It's not. I wouldn't think that it's the individual as much. I think companies are more their thing. They're playing the long game. They realize how much money they're saving whenever I can give you $25 now. And if I give you $25 every 6 months, I give you $50 a year, and I have you for 30 years. Right? So I paid you $1,500. How much money am I saving? Because I'm still getting that payment every month, and I'm not paying anything out on the back end as much because you're taking care of all your shit on the front end. It's brilliant. They'll be around forever.
Yeah.
They'll be around forever. Why people are not looking at that model, people are not looking at that behavior and not applying it to society. Right? If I can spend $1 on somebody on welfare, for every dollar I spend, how much this year? How much do I save 5 years from now?
I think for every dollar spent on food stamps, welfare basically kicks back to $1.60 in the economy.
Something like that. I know you're getting back more than you're putting in.
That's pretty much on most of that stuff. Every dollar invested in a tax cut is about 14 cents back in the economy. For the top 1%, because they do stock buybacks and put it in Wall Street or the bank. You give a poor person $100, he's going to spend it because he has to.
You give
Give
a rich guy
somebody that's
$100.
making good money 100. What are they going to do with it?
They're going to keep it. They're going to invest it. They're going to.
They don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll have the money work for them instead of having to work for their money.
That's what cracks me up about their talking points with the $300 a week and 1,400. You know, that money's spent already.
Yeah.
Anybody that was in dire straits spent that money on back rent, food, whatever it was.
Right. And yet we're going to complain about it. Well, Lou, it's because nobody wants to work.
Yeah.
I have a theory about that.
Yeah, I could give you names of people that can't be hired because they know too much and are too old.
I got a theory about the people who don't want to work. Would you like to hear it?
Yep.
Whenever this pandemic hit, the bulk of the workforce were the people who are on the ass end of the boomer generation. Right? Early to mid 60s, maybe late 50s, depending on where that cutoff line is. So this pandemic hit, and these folks, how many of them were offered early retirement? I can tell you now, around here, a whole shit ton of people were offered early retirement, right? And we're as run down as it gets. How many of them took that unemployment with that extra $300 and decided they weren't going to go back to work because they figured out how to live with that unemployment plus the extra 300, which, oh, by the way, isn't going to be much of a difference than they're going to get through Social Security or their pension. So they just dropped out of the workforce.
I would say a lot of them did, especially people that were in their mid to late 60s that may have still been working.
Right. For whatever reason.
If I got knocked off and I was 66, I'm going to collect that full Social Security and I'm going to milk that unemployment till it's gone.
And that'll get on my Social Security, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? You start getting up there, and I mean, I realized, you know, how much of our income is, I don't want to say it's becoming fixed, but there's so much of it that we pretty much know what we're spending. You're not budgeting, you just know it. You know, it's not like, okay, I can spend this much on whatever. You're just in a groove now where you adjusted. Okay. Why go back? Why deal with the stress? Why deal with the headaches? You've been doing this shit for 40 years, maybe 50. What's your incentive to go back?
You know what? And they said 2 million women have dropped out of the workforce because you have all these kids home from school that had to be taken care of. And you had the point where they looked and says, you know what? I'm making take home $400 a week and my child care is $250 a week. I'm getting unemployment. Why would I go back?
It's damn near a wash, isn't it?
Yeah.
In fact, you're probably a little better off ahead.
And this is what's pissing off the right wing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a matter of people don't want to work as much as it is they just don't have to anymore.
Well, I'll give you the translation. People don't want to work for the shit wages we want to pay them and no benefits.
Right.
There's the translation.
Right. So you're making $8 an hour whenever this whole thing hit. Let's say you're making $10. Maybe you got lucky and you're working at Walmart. You're a greeter at Walmart. You're making $10 an hour.
Okay, that's $400 a week gross.
Okay. Let's just, for the grins and giggles, just for the fuck of it. And let's say that there's this, I don't know, ice cream place down the street where the owner decided he's going to start paying his employees $15 an hour. Well, you lost your job because of COVID. I would guess your incentive to go back to work's a little higher than going back to Walmart for your $10 an hour whenever you've been able to adjust and work just fine without it. Right? The only way I stop working where I'm working or start working whenever I'm doing just fine without it is if I have a financial incentive to do it. That's it. Your necessities are covered. They've been covered you figured out how to do it for a year now.
I've changed jobs for more cash.
That's the only time I've ever really changed jobs. I've had a few taken from me.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
But the only time I left someplace to go somewhere else on my own was always for more money. That was it. Maybe not in the paycheck, but my travel is less or whatever, my expense is less for working. So I end up at the end of the month, I end up with more money than I had working there. It's always been that way. If you're going to keep paying me a shit wage, I got no incentive to go back. I'm doing just fine. You know, what are you going to do with they can't find servers. They can't, restaurants can't find servers. Don't pay them $2.25 an hour. You have more than enough people that's going to want to come work for you if you move that up. If I could be beating people off, well, didn't mean to come out like that, but people be lined up around the block to come and work for you. Can you imagine working in one of these restaurants? You're getting paid $10 an hour plus tips.
What they fail to realize too, sometimes when you up that wage, I mean, there's been people, number of instances, there's now a few restaurants in Pittsburgh that pay a flat, it's about, $17.50 an hour, no tips.
Just a flat $17.50.
Restaurants.
Yeah.
Reduced their turnover by, I forget how much. And the ones that were there are more productive.
Well, yeah. Yeah. You pay somebody a wage, they're going to feel like a decent wage. They're going to feel like they're worth something.
Yeah, because they're going to get that $17.50, whether they're, between lunch and dinner, whether you're just cleaning up or you're serving. And you're going to be more productive. You're going to help out, get things clean and prepped.
How many people will sit there and say, you're only paying me $8 an hour, you're going to get $8 an hour worth of work out of me. Right?
Yeah, we saw what we attracted at $8 an hour 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, once the entertainment value went away, we didn't get shit accomplished.
No. Master Grant, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Master Grant, we were talking about this argument that people don't want to work, right? We're hearing that all over the place now, and I'm making the argument, and Lou kind of is too, that it's not that people don't want to work, it's that you have a very far reduced workforce because so many people who were working pre-pandemic were on the ass end of the boomer generation. Okay, late 50s, early 60s, and they either took early retirement or they figured out with pension, Social Security, and unemployment that they're just not going to go back to work for the shit wages they're being paid. So now you have a decrease of eligible workers because don't forget, my generation. There's far less people in my generation than there is in the boomer generation. That's why they were called the boomers. Right? And now you're seeing voids because people either aren't available to work or aren't going to work for a shit wage.
Get the sun right on.
Right in the freaking face. So I just feel that there's a different work ethic. It's just a different work ethic. I think that, everybody below the Gen Xers just are entitled. They're just entitled, and they do not have the work ethic. No, they don't. See, they've never experienced cold. They've never experienced hunger. They never experienced what it's like to be at the mercy of someone else, and so they have no idea. I don't care what wage I make. If I have to work 3 jobs, I'll work 3 jobs. I won't stop. That's just built into me. I think it's built into you guys too. But I can tell you, the young people these days, they'll say, you ask them to do it, they'll say no. They'll go home and just sit at home, not do a thing.
I have 3 jobs. You know what? You might be right, because I have 3 jobs and Nick only has 2. So
Nick's an exception. Or there's always exceptions.
he's slacking. We've been too soft on him.
He's a slacker.
He's soft.
but I just feel that all of this, everybody gets a trophy. This whole, it's just, there's nobody understand. They think that they're entitled to get paid a lot of money to do shit work, crap work, produce nothing. They just don't understand. Companies, if you look at it this way, if we started a company, okay, if all 3 of us in this company generated income, more income than we paid ourselves, our company would be successful. But the moment you bring in somebody who doesn't generate what they're producing, like an accountant, sorry. So now we're going to get all these angry accountants. Or IT as another, throwing the money in the sift. Nothing ever comes out. But as soon as you add in an accountant, what does the accountant actually generate for the company that produces income? They don't, right? They're just doing books. So anyway, I'm sorry. We don't want to go into a fight about metrics, but that's what I'm saying, is that they feel that they're entitled. They don't realize you got to bring something to the table. Unless you're like a lawyer or an accountant, or you have some type of that specialty, you got to bring something to the table, or the company's not gonna need you or want you, because you're just a drain.
Fair point. Here's my counter to that. I want to work, but you're not willing to pay me a living wage. So why should I come work?
Then I would just say, go thank all the Republicans that you're voting for.
No. Still doesn't change the dynamic there, does it?
Just say, look, go talk to Sean Hannity that you listen to every night. Go ask him about it. See what he says. That's why we had that's why your fathers, that's why the forefathers and our fathers had unions.
You have forefathers?
Do you realize how many people?
Only one came home at night.
Do you realize how many people that were World War II generation and the early part of the boomers were made a pension and good living sweeping the floors of a steel mill?
Oh, yeah.
Or just a laborer job somewhere.
Lots.
And retired with, and mom never had to really go outside of the house to work to make extra money, and she could dedicate full time for kids and all the work that the home is.
Well, and I mean that is true. The dynamic of breaking up the unions means that the owners get to pay themselves exorbitant salaries, way more than they're worth, right? It's all about the value that you bring to an organization. That's what capitalism is. What we have now is a bastardized version of it. When you get these executives making 5 times what they really should be making, that's an issue. The company, then all the money is going to pay their salaries. And so now you can't give someone, a janitor or somebody, a living wage because you're giving it all up to the fat cats up on the top, which is exactly what the Republican Party wanted.
And they did a masterful job of convincing the people who were getting screwed.
That's right.
To support it.
Masterful job. Because those same people will be the ones that will scream, bloody murder if you even talk about socialism, you're commie.
Yeah. And none of these folks actually knows what socialism is.
No, they don't.
Master Grant, I'm kind of pushing through things pretty quick here because there's a lot I want to cover. Remember a conversation about Israel yesterday? Israel.
Yes.
Yes. Well, what do you know? Israel's cabinet votes for a ceasefire in the Gaza conflict.
That's because they're listening.
That's you.
Listening to the show.
It's you. It's you. They said, "Holy shit!" Master Grant said, "We got to stop this." But I found it interesting, and I'm going to argue again. It was the cabinet that voted against it. Wasn't Netanyahu? Did you see our Discord group today? Were we able to get into? Well, I shouldn't say we're able. Did you have time?
I've unfortunately I've been slammed all day. No.
Well, there is a. Where the hell is it? I'm looking for the post. It was from the AP. Okay. And the article is Netanyahu's prospects bolstered amid Israeli Hamas fighting. Now, don't forget, this was earlier today. This was before the ceasefire. Okay. I'll just read you the first two paragraphs. Israel is at war with Hamas. Jewish Arab mob violence has erupted inside Israel, and the West Bank is experiencing its deadliest unrest in years. Everything you pointed out yesterday. Yet this all may bolster Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Just over a week ago, the longtime Israeli leader's political career seemed all but over. He has failed to form a coalition government following an indecisive parliamentary election, and his political rivals were on the cusp of pushing him out of office. Funny how these things happen.
That's funny, isn't it? What a coincidence. What a coincidence. And, there's innocent lives, innocent people. This is what we said yesterday, is that, the people who get killed are just ordinary moms and dads and, people like you and me and Master Patsy. We're the ones who get we're the ones getting blown up and losing our lives over this nonsense just because Netanyahu needs a boost in his popularity poll.
I wonder how much this cabinet vote just kneecapped him. Because it's only been, 11 days? Right? Yeah, 11 days. So Israel's cabinet votes for a ceasefire. This again is NPR. Hamas reportedly agrees. Now, this was as of 4:08 our time today. Israeli officials said Thursday they have voted for a ceasefire plan after 11 days of fighting with Hamas. So it was 11 days. The cabinet voted to accept Egyptian. Remember, Master Grant, you even mentioned them. The cabinet voted to accept an Egyptian initiative for a ceasefire, according to a statement from the cabinet. An Egyptian government statement said the ceasefire would begin at 2 a.m. local time Friday. Hamas agreed to the truce, according to newswires. Hamas said the ceasefire would be, quote, mutual and simultaneous, according to Reuters. So, first of all, very happy to see, right? Glad to see, Israel or Egypt stepping up, like you called for yesterday. Because I'm telling you, they were listening to you. And kind of puts Netanyahu in a bind.
It sure does.
It's a tough break. Lou, what do you think? Am I being cynical with this?
Yeah, I mean, I have my doubts. I mean, it is somebody's ego is basically what it is. You know, BB and well, I was going to say he's as bad as Trump, maybe not quite. He's smarter than him, but
Doorknobs are smarter than
same
him.
then result. Um, you know, and I think there's a lot of dynamics there. I mean, you now have neighborhoods basically integrating when you have the Israelis and the Palestinians, and you know what? They're finding out. Well, if we just want what's best for our kids, we don't need this bullshit. Because I saw it was on another wire. There was a protest there of 1,500. It was mixed. Stop the shit. Shut it down.
Yeah.
They're neighbors and friends. No, we don't want each other killed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of you can basically equate it to Black Lives Matter.
And a whole lot of ways, huh? Ooh. There's a whole. Oh, what's going on?
Yeah, we got an echo. I have to jump, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Go earn a living. That's all right. Forget us. Go earn a living. We get it.
Okay.
See, you should be taken off and given that job to somebody else.
Exactly.
That overtime. Give that overtime away.
All right. Bye.
Tomorrow, sir. I forgot what the hell we were talking about.
Israel.
Oh, I think you're right. I think in a lot of ways you are seeing it, because what happened during all this over the last 20 years or so, maybe longer. I'm not real sure what the timeline is in Israel, but or the Middle East. But you'll get my point. Those barriers are between all these different folk, these different people aren't there anymore, right? So the Palestinians, for the large extent, aren't looked at as the other as much anymore, right? They're looking at our neighbors now, right? And that's what you saw with the BLM movement. We weren't looking at people as the other. You were looking at people as like, hey, these are us. These are the same. We identify with that other side or those other people far more now than we used to 20, 30 years ago.
And I think it's probably the same. You think about it, it's the urban areas. We live, it's not Mayberry. We live together in close quarters with all these. They become my friends and neighbors.
Right.
And what do you see going deep red is all the rural areas where they're not, it's basically they're not exposed to culture, so to speak, the mingling of cultures.
No, and they've had people that were more than willing to convince them that they don't need it. They don't want
a lot of it.
They don't need it. Yeah. You're not more intelligent whenever you live in town as opposed to out in Mayberry.
No, you're not.
But in a lot of ways, you are wiser because you're a little bit more street smart. You're exposed to a lot more things, and you're able to apply things that you know and things that you understand to a far greater amount of things than you are whenever you're surrounded by the same things all the time.
I could tell you my neighbors' fears are far greater than mine because I grew up in basically the city as compared to them out in the country.
Right.
My grandparents and my friends' parents and grandparents were immigrants. You had mixing of cultures. And that's a lot of what it is. It's streetwise and just, okay, it's nothing to be afraid of. This is the United States. And like you said, the right-wing media and those powers, they're trying to convince they're following that if you don't listen to country music, fly a flag, and vote Republican, you're not patriotic.
Right, you're not patriotic, right? I always said, how come Fox Entertainment in the right paints patriots as wearing cowboy hats and boots? Why are those folks considered the patriots? Right, because you drive a pickup and you stick an American flag in the back of your in the bed and it flies. Shakes real fast when you're going down the street. Why are you a patriot? And somebody who lives in a project isn't. Why? What makes you so special? You think you love this country, you love people any more, or those folks love it any less? You weren't the folks being experimented on. They were. You know?
Yeah, that's basically how you can tell this lie they're going with now on the insurrection is if it was Black Lives Matter and Antifa like they're claiming, you know how you know it wasn't that? Because there's no dead bodies everywhere.
Yeah. How do you know it wasn't really BLM and Antifa? Because these assholes are voting against the committee.
Jeez.
That's why they're voting against it.
You know why they're so scared of it? Because if this committee starts putting out who's guilty of insurrection and putting out tours and everything else, guess what voters they're going to lose in the midterm? That middle ground that they're hoping to swing in the midterm, which may not happen if the Democrats would get off their ass and say, you know what? We've had 10 years of you claiming that you're going to be bipartisan and you never bend an inch, so fuck you, get rid of everything, bring it to the table. And as soon as McCarthy refuses a subpoena, you go send the sergeant at arms and say, put him in jail.
You arrest his ass.
Arrest him, put him in jail right now.
Right now. We're not playing this game anymore. We're tired of your bullshit. We're not playing this game anymore. And you get the goddamn Joe Manchins of your party and you hang him by his balls and you say, you will either do this now or you will never win another election. I don't care if you're running for dog catcher.
You know what? I saw a good article or comment today. They say, you know how Schumer can get the mansion in cinema? Say, tell you what, you got a week. You bring me 10 Republicans to my office that say they're going to vote for what you want. If not, we're going nuclear. We're getting rid of the filibuster. How's that? Bring me 10.
Bring me 10.
That are committed.
And if you're not on board, you're going down with them. We are going to defund everything that our party's going to give you. We're going to rob you of your committees. You're out. Time for playing games is over. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, give me 10, Joe. Kristen, give me 10.
Right. You can do that.
Big game. Let's see it.
You can do that. Well, we'll swing.
Schumer says, I've been with this asshole McConnell for how many years? He showed me who he was.
Right.
Show me who you are. Right?
That's all. Now, you know who would have done that? Who was there before?
Harry Reid.
Harry Reid. Right? Harry Reid probably would have punched McConnell by now.
Oh, without a doubt.
He could have done it, too. That guy could box like a champ. There's YouTube videos of him. You should have seen this guy. he was good.
Yeah.
It's a shame to see him now.
You know, it's that's what has to be done.
Yep.
Here, we're running out of time, and you know what? Hey, Joe, see those insurrectionists you hid from? They want to make them permanent in 2 years if we lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? They'll overturn that election even when Biden wins it the next time.
And if they're willing to do that to Biden's election, what are they going to do to yours? Because don't forget, you're not special. You got to run too. You need to be elected too. This guy's playing a game that he's and you know what? He's going to end up losing anyhow. He is. They should have kneecapped him whenever they had the chance. They really should have. He always was a pain. Wasn't he one of the guys that fucked around with Obamacare?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's been a piece of shit for how long?
I saw an article on him. It said they call him the last remaining Dixiecrat.
Yeah, he really is. He really is.
They said Robert Byrd saw the light, and Joe Manchin is the last remaining Dixiecrat.
There you go.
Because I always liked this is off topic, but I always liked those, when I was on Facebook, you saw the bullshit. Robert Byrd was in the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was. He admits it. And did you ever hear his quote from it?
No.
He said, if I have to apologize every day for that for the rest of my life, I will happily do so. Did you know he had an A+ rating from the NAACP to advance civil rights when he was done?
Did he really?
Yes, he did. Any chance he had to help, he did. If he could force it through, he did it.
See? There are some people with character.
People can change.
There are some people with character.
He said I was young and foolish and uninformed.
There are. You got to get some people with some character.
There you go.
And just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Yeah.
Let's call it there, Lou.
Hey, let me leave you with, did you ever see Kyla in the Berg on Twitter?
No.
You got to follow this woman.
Okay.
Here's what I tweeted at her. I said, tweet of the day award. She puts all day long. She comes up with some good stuff. It's kind of ironic that U.S. Senator Ted Cruz made fun of women serving in the U.S. Army, calling our military emasculated, when Ted's sloppy, out of shape, muscleless, fat ass is the definition of emasculating. He looks like a fucking potato with a mullet.
That's where we'll end it. That's where we'll end it. That's perfect. Everybody, thank you so very much for following us or sticking around with us. We appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow to recap the week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, for Lou and for Master Grant, who was with us for a hot minute, because boy, he's getting pounded. I don't know who I feel worse for, him or Frank.
Yeah,
they're getting destroyed.
I think I'm going to be in for it too coming up. Just the way things are changing. Same thing.
Yeah. Well, I sent a text out to everybody a couple weeks ago that we're probably gonna have to start changing our schedule or something. We're gonna have to start addressing this a little bit because I don't want this to be a burden on anybody. But until tomorrow, everybody, goodbye, good luck, and God bless. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye bye. God almost looked like Hitler.